Welcome to Addicted to Busy, the podcast specifically for overachieving property managers who are dying for a little more work-life balance in their lives. Each week, we dismantle all the BS that holds us back. You'll learn how to nix those tricky, self-sabotaging habits so that you have the time, energy, and motivation to create what you really want in life. If you're looking to shift from overcommitted to overjoyed, this is the podcast for you. Let's do this. Now, your host, Anna Havliana.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Addicted to Busy. My name is Anna Havliana, and I'm your host today, and it is a pleasure to be back with you again. The weather is beautiful here in Minneapolis, so I had to open up all of the windows of my apartment, so I apologize for any side noise that you may hear during this episode. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. For those who are returning listeners, welcome back. You know that I love to talk about work-life balance, productivity, and efficiency within our industry. And oftentimes, because I'm giving examples of how to be better at it, it can be misconstrued that I don't deal with overwhelm or stress at all. And that couldn't be anything further from the truth. One of the big benefits of being a coach and being someone who has a podcast or does public speaking is that I am immersed in this material and content all of the time. I am constantly researching and reading the science behind productivity, the science behind work-life balance. And so I am fully immersed in this content all the time. I can say with confidence that I definitely handle myself and take care of myself far better than I did when I first started in property management. Looking back now, when I think of the start of my career in property management, it is so clear to me all of the ways in which I was burning myself out. And so it's really fun to see myself in challenging situations, but handling them very differently than I did the first time around. Another thing that has really changed was that when I was in the thick of that burnout, I could not see how much of that burnout was really of my own doing. I believed that that burnout was coming from our ownership, from our residents or our tenants, or whatever projects were going on at the time. And I wasn't aware of all of the different tools that you could use to manage that stress. And in fact, use that stress as a tool for growth and expansion. Now, because I talk on these topics all of the time, that does not mean that I am immune to feeling stress and overwhelm. At the first signs of burnout, when I first started picking up on the idea that maybe the problem isn't everything that's going on around me, but maybe the problem is me, I tried to tackle that problem by figuring out how to do more, by trying to be more productive. And yes, this definitely helped me in some areas of my burnout, but not all. You see, where I went wrong in my reasoning was that I believed that if I could just get more done, then that would free up more free time. And so what ended up happening, and you've likely heard this story multiple times, is that I kept giving and giving and giving and giving to my career, thinking that at some point I'm going to have some free time for myself. What took me years to figure out was that I actually had to put myself and my health first. And then that's what allowed me to be more efficient, more productive, and make fewer mistakes. Now, saying that out loud, it doesn't sound like something that's hard to do. But if you've been in a pattern of overworking for years, it actually does take a lot of time, effort, and commitment to reverse those habits. And again, for as much as I preach on this material all the time, I still struggle with that today. I still notice that when things are getting busy or when it feels like my calendar is getting too full, that I want to go into fix it and do more mode instead of stopping to ask, what are the ways in which I need to just take a beat, step back, and take a breath? I will be fully transparent and honest and just say that I am a very emotive person and I am empathetic. So I can get lost in my feelings pretty quickly. And that's a challenge that I have to manage on a day-to-day basis. When I look back on all of those years of trying to do more, I almost laugh about it a little bit now because this whole time I was just burning myself out even more, when in reality, the answer was to just pause and go for a walk. As I mentioned, This is something that I still struggle with today. The last, I'd say, 10 to 14 days at work, they've been a whirlwind for me. I have been in the thick of budget season, and the company that I work for, we just got brand new budgeting software. So not only are we trying to learn the budget, we're trying to figure out the nuances and tweaks within the software to get it to do what we need it to do. Within that time, we also had a visit from our national corporate team, as well as an ownership visit. I was preparing two speeches for the Spectrum Conference. One of those speeches was a brand new speech. So I was a little bit nervous to introduce new content and see how it went. Within that time, I also had some travel that I had to do, both to the conference and then also to see family. And then this all culminated with the annual MHA Maddox ceremony. So it was just a week of a lot of moving pieces, a lot of big events. And when it was all over on that Saturday morning, I was supposed to see a friend who lives out of town. And this is a friend who I love dearly. I only get to see him about once a year. But at that point, my body had said enough. I felt so guilty because he's not often in the Twin Cities where I am, but I had to call it. And I sent him a message and I said, "Hey, I love you. I am so sorry to do this, but I'm capped out." Now, lucky for me, he is extremely understanding. I brag about this all the time, but I have the best friends who really honor each other's boundaries and support one another's mental health. So he reassured me that everything was fine. And so instead of getting ready to go tailgate a football game, I went for a walk. And honestly, that was all that I needed. I just needed an hour to get some fresh air, move my body, take some deep breaths, and just reflect on what those last 2 weeks had been. After the walk was over, I sent a message to my friend. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm good to come out. So, again, this is where I laugh at myself a little bit because for many, many years, I would feel this overwhelm or my schedule would start to get packed. And I would try and solve it by doing more when all I needed to do was just put on my shoes, get some sunshine, take a deep breath, and be away from my device for a minute. There's this exercise that I do at property management conferences that I just love witnessing the audience. So I'm actually going to walk you through it right now. If you're driving, do not participate. Save this for a moment when you are at home or at your office and you can be undisturbed. I start by inviting the participants to recall their worst week at work. And once they've figured out what that week is, I invite them to close their eyes. Once your eyes are closed, I want you to recall some of the feelings that you felt during that time and some of the sensations in your body. That could be overwhelm, burnout, fatigue, frustration, exhaustion, annoyance, you name it. Once you have that, now we're going to do just a little bit of imagining. Okay, so I want you to imagine it's that exact same week. Everything about the week still sucks, but there's one minor difference that happened. I want you to imagine that every day, once a day, you went for a 15-minute walk without your phone. And I'll invite you to consider what would be different about the way that you approached your tasks or the way that you conversed with other people if you'd had that 15-minute walk. Now, one thing to note here, the week hasn't changed. It is still busy. It is still chaos. It is still havoc. But the only thing that has changed is that you've taken that 15-minute walk. Now let's up the ante one more time. Take that week. You have a 15-minute walk, but you also got a full 8 hours of sleep every night that week. Again, what would feel different? How would you show up differently? And what would be the benefits of that? Then I invite everyone to open their eyes. As the person who's guiding others through this exercise, one of the reasons why I love watching this so much is because you can literally see people's facial expressions change, right? You witness people get more relaxed and their body starts to relax a little bit. I will invite the audience to give their reflections on what they felt during that time. And more often than not, what I hear is that people can imagine approaching their tasks from a more grounded and calm place. Again, nothing about that crazy work week has changed, but the way that you approach your work can change. After we've had a little bit of discussion, I close that exercise out by reminding people the only thing that I asked you to change was that you got a 15-minute break and you went to bed on time. Those are two very reasonable things for you to do every single day. You don't have to do anything to earn them. You don't have to do anything to justify doing it other than the fact that it's good for you. When I talk about making time for our health, a lot of times people go off the deep end and think that they need to get an all clean diet or start a new exercise program or take a whole meditation course. And it's not. You don't have to do these big drastic things, but you do need to make small, consistent changes. Two things that I try to do within my day-to-day in the office is when it's time for lunch, when my food is heating up, I will try to stay off my phone. I don't go take care of another task or respond to another email. I will try my hardest to stand in front of the microwave and just sit and breathe while my food cooks and take deep breaths. Same thing when I go to the bathroom. As I'm washing my hands, I use that time to just, again, do some deep breathing and reconnect with myself. We all know those days where it feels like the phone won't stop ringing at the same time that people won't stop coming in, at the same time that your boss is asking for something, at the same time that you're trying to meet a deadline and get out of the office at 5 o'clock. And because of that, we have to have tools in order to manage that stress and keep it under control. I had the pleasure of speaking at the Minneapolis Meet event, which is hosted by Corp Furniture and Inner Solutions. And MEET stands for Multifamily Experts Engaging Together. And they invited me to speak at their networking event. And we talked about, some of the challenges that we face as property managers in really delineating work time from personal time, because technically we're on call 24/7. And there was a moment where we opened up the discussion to everyone who was participating. And this manager said that when she notices any of her teammates starting to get stressed out or starting to get a little hectic, she invites them to take a sunshine break. And a sunshine break is just a walk outside to vent and get it all out so that you can come back to your computer and get it done. What I loved hearing about this is that she was really looking out for her employees and she put a fun spin on it by giving it a name like Sunshine Walk. So that's where I want to close out today. I know that a lot of you are in the thick of budgeting season right now, and that stress and overwhelm, it's real at times. So I invite you to be proactive about it. What are the small, tiny things that you can do to give yourself little moments of reprieve? Whether that is taking a sunshine walk or just taking deep breaths while you are washing your hands or scheduling yourself a massage, whatever it is, be proactive about giving yourself a break. Don't wait until you are already burned out because at that point it is too late. We all know what this season of property management entails. So do yourself a favor by getting ahead of the game and building in that reprieve for yourself. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being with me again today. I'm excited because we are getting ready to launch our time blocking for property managers course. If you want to be in the loop and know when it is officially released, please go to my website, annahavliana.com, and get signed up for our newsletter. You'll be the first to know about when the course is ready for you to sign up. If today's episode resonated with you, I think that you're going to love the content in the newsletter. Every week, I share stories, tips, and techniques specifically for property managers just like you who want to thrive in both their careers and their personal lives. Okay, so this isn't a newsletter with just industry updates. I'm really dedicated to helping you prioritize your well-being and get ahead in your career without burning out. So again, if you want to do that, hop on over to annahavliana.com. That's ANNAJAV as in vision, ELLANA.com. All right, y'all. I love you. Keep going.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Addicted to Busy. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.